Energized show, up the Irish.
Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross,
Are you intoxicated or something?
how's the form, bud?
Man, all is well, all is well. Look, Team McGregor is going to be full on the Irish Forged Irish Stout now because they're out of the competition effectively. It's 7-0 to Team Chandler now. The last fight doesn't look too promising. It's Chandler's number 1 bantamweight versus McGregor's number 4 bantamweight. So look, it just goes to show that the returning veterans are the men, and the prospects couldn't live up to the hype. I think out of all the prospects, I think Lee Hammond is the only one who actually put his best foot forward, really. Maybe Trevor Wells as well. I think they're the only two who I was like, they gave a good go.
Who's the barber again?
Oh, Gutierrez, is it?
Yeah, he looked alright.
Yeah, like not bad. Like you like.
Was he better at cutting hair or fighting? That was the question.
Probably cutting hair. But look, this season it looks like we're going to see the first ever whitewash on the Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, you saw at the very end of the episode as well. Like Conor asked the question. He was like, "What happens if it's a what was the phrase? Did you say a whitewash, or did you use a different phrase?"
Yeah, clean sweep, whitewash.
Clean sweep. That's the one you use. Yeah. So what happens if it's a clean sweep? And then you can sort of see the producer in the background with Dana White being like, "Oh, maybe we'll see if someone wants to swap teams." I was like, maybe Brad Katona will swap teams after this. Like, that's probably the only one possible, really, isn't it?
Do you know what? I was actually thinking, right? I was like, there's no way people are going to want to go into Conor's team now. You're winning. Why change it? But then I actually forgot Brad isn't actually on Conor's team. So maybe Brad, yeah. Because
but I was going to say also at the end of the episode, you see Conor actually has like a back and forth with like Team Chandler as well, like sort of insulting the fighters. You know what I mean? So
team here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh Jesus, like that's definitely rough, you know. But
this is the fight game, man. Look, like for instance, we were talking there. How far do you think Jason Knight can go in this as well? Because like that was probably one. Like a lot of these fights are finished very, very fast, but like Jason Knight going in there with all that experience, like how far do you think he can go in this?
You know what? I think he could go all the way. I think he is undersized. I think he's actually a featherweight. Obviously, he's fighting at lightweight, but like you sort of have to look at the pack, if you know what I mean. Like Roosevelt Roberts looks very, very good as well. Like he could knock out anyone at any stage. You know what I mean? So. Like, I don't know. At this stage, I think it's anyone's game. I almost think, even in the bantamweight division, you know what I mean? Like, you got Brad, you got Timur Valiev. I think, obviously, we saw Cody Gibson got an injury. Like, he's probably, in my opinion, like number 4 favourite at this stage to get the job done. Obviously, Hunter Reserve fights this week as well. He's fought Brad before, so, like, there's a bit of interesting dynamics there as well. But I think at this stage, anyone could win the show, to be honest.
So here we'll make a prediction for next week because do you think
we need to see the brackets?
Yeah, well, do you think it'll be a clean sweep?
Absolutely, like 100%. Like,
where's the positivity, man? Where's the positivity? What?
Water is wet, and it will be a clean sweep.
And then, do you think anyone will go into Conor's team?
Maybe Brad Katona.
Was that it?
Probably, yeah. I think so.
Be 7-on-1, like.
Well, I suppose if you do move on to Conor's team, you have a full squad of people there looking after you. You know what I mean?
That's do you think Conor's team would like that, or like, do they get to just go home?
Well, I'm sure they'd be happy to have Brad there. You know what I mean?
They're all just going to stay for Brad.
Yeah, but it's also a bit of a funny one because at the end of the day, you also have to look at it from the perspective like, what does Team McGregor actually do now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Yeah, well, what do they do? I mean, like, we're about to do a 12 show series, and like we could be finished as of next week.
Yeah, but our Team McGregor, like, do they go home? Do they continue to like train? Like,
Do they
like,
partay?
yeah, or like, is Conor McGregor expected to stick around to coach people who aren't on the show? You know what I mean? It does get very, very strange when you look at that. But like, I suppose maybe Brad Katona goes across. I'm looking at the lightweights like Jason Knight, Roosevelt Roberts, Kurt Holloway, and Austin Hubbard. Do any of them really move across? Maybe one does. I suppose tactically, you might be like, right, if I go over there, I'll have Owen Roddy, John Kavanagh, and Conor McGregor, and like they come up with a game plan to beat these guys. They've already trained with them as well, so like you might get a bit more individual attention if you moved across.
Yeah, well, I can't see Roosevelt Roberts saying that because he said he wants to slap McGregor. Jason
Mm.
Knight having this sort of back and forth with McGregor, I don't think he'd do that either.
Although he fought Artem.
I know, but like he was having a bit of a back and forth with Conor as well. You know, I know he said there was no hard feelings, but next week Conor's like, team here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I suppose Kurt Holloway, McGregor said John Kavanagh tipped him to win the whole show, so like maybe he's someone who move across.
Oh yeah, do you know what? I actually don't think he was that impressive at all. I know, like Lee put him to the sword.
Oh no, Lee dominated him for 8 minutes. I actually think Kurt Holloway's win over Lee Hammond is the biggest comeback win in the Ultimate Fighter history. I can't remember someone being beaten that comprehensively and come back and get the win.
What about Roy Nelson against Kimbo Slice?
Well, when Roy Nelson absolutely crucifixed him.
That was after. Ross. That was after.
Yeah, like that was the most dominant display I've ever seen someone have in the Ultimate Fighter and not get their hand raised. It was very impressive.
I'm still a little bit heartbroken over that, to be honest, Ross.
No,
But
definitely.
we'll find out more next week. Like this could, like I'm beginning to enjoy these series, Ross. But there is bigger fish to fry. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, quick question: who has a flatter nose, Jason Knight or Jack Della Maddalena?
I think Jason Knight, loves getting punched. What do you make of him, like calling himself a hillbilly and that? Like he's such an interesting character. He's like so strangely lovable, isn't he?
Yeah, do you know what? It's people like that makes you love, like not only MMA but the UFC. Do we get all these different characters? We were even talking about Bryce Mitchell, like just like Jason Knight's so happy to like hunt gators. Like I know I asked you, did you like what's the food?
Crawfish.
No, but the whole thing is a something. It's like a bowl or something. Crawfish.
Oh, I actually don't.
Oh, okay, okay. I think you're right. Actually, But this week, would you eat gator? This is like something out of like what's the
In fairness, I think I'd try anything, but like I'd sort of want to see where it's cooked. To be honest, like not on like the back of someone's fire pit or something like that. Like if it was like in a restaurant, maybe.
Well, Gordon Ramsay's like
yeah, Gordon Ramsay cook me a gator.
Maybe Gordon Ramsay's restaurant in Mississippi cooks gator.
Yeah, look, I'd give it a go. Like why not? But yeah, he was
anything for
again,
the Instagram likes, man. Anything for that.
He obviously had an interesting backstory as well. That like he was arrested when he was 17, but then he got served papers for the arrest when he was 19 and had to go to prison for I think what was it 9 months.
9 months.
So obviously like that sort of set you up on a negative, and then obviously we saw his UFC tenure. He went 4-0 when he entered the UFC. Like he was on tear. He got 3 fight night bonuses and like blew all his cash on the night outs. So that obviously wasn't his smartest play, and now he's back. So hopefully he can make a successful run. It's a bit funny because like you see these guys' stories and you're almost like they all deserve to get something out of it, but like that's not the way it works. Like that's not what's going to happen. So it's going to be interesting to see teammates fighting teammates, and then I suppose with the
what side would Chandler be on? Like whose corner would he be in all this stuff? This is it's going to be strange.
Exactly, and then with Quinones, the only thing that I really found interesting about him was when he said he offered to help Chandler get ready for the Poirier fight, and like Chandler said no. I was like, oh, maybe he's got a point to prove, and then did he lose in under 90 seconds? It's about 90 seconds. Yeah, so like, in fairness,
and he's a titan. He's a titan lightweight champion as well. Like,
it seems like the occasion gets to a lot of these guys.
Do you know what? When he was sparring Conor, like it just looked like he was just almost like in awe.
Yeah,
like
he was like, "Hit me again." That was good.
Yeah, like
I
don't know.
But even like he wasn't taking direction well. Like Conor was like, "Oh, slow mo, follow through with the punch," and then like he just didn't do it. If you know what I mean. Yeah. I was like, he's actually asking you to punch him obviously lightly, but like punch him as in like follow through with the shot. That was the goal of that exercise, and he wasn't doing it. So look, it is what it is, So
It's tough. I mean, like
yeah,
doing this, we thought we'd get like at least 2 or 3 prospects through to the next round.
yeah.
But let's see what happens. It's not over yet, and Bragatona is still there, looking to become the first ever ultimate fighter or multimate fighter.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to say on the Ultimate Fighter, Ross, before we come back next week and discuss what could potentially be the finale?
No, I don't think so. I think that's like it effectively. I think like we have to see what happens next week. Is there a clean sweep, and what's that mean for that? But you know what could happen? It could be next week. There could be a clean sweep, and then it could be the following week we find out what actually happens when there's a clean sweep. We won't actually know. But look, I think it's great to see the veterans get another shot back in the UFC. But it would have been nice to see one prospect fly the flag.
It's not over yet, man. It's not over yet. Look at the way Yair Rodriguez beat the Korean Zombie.
Yeah, I think it's all over. I think it's all over. Bad the singing. Is that what they say? Is that the phrase?
Well, it was more when we were coming into the show today, and like Lee had lost last week, and that was like all our eggs in the basket, and now it's sort of like.
Ash, look, we're here now anyway, and we'll continue to give an L chatter about it. But I suppose one thing that wasn't a disappointment was UFC 290, Basmo.
Great transition. Well, it depends who was watching, Ross.
Yeah, I suppose maybe for the Mexican fans, it wasn't a great night. You know what? I think for Mexican MMA, if you said to someone that there'd be 3 Mexican champions at the start of the year, they probably would have laughed at you. 3 Mexican people held the belt, so fair play to the guys who won the belt. Moreno, Grasso, and obviously Yair Rodriguez had an interim title. But look, obviously it wasn't their night. I don't know. Do you want to start in the main event or do you want to start in the co-main event?
Yeah, we go from the top.
Yeah, so obviously Alexander Volkanovski defeated Yair Rodriguez, 3rd round TKO. I think right now, for me, he's cemented himself as a pound for pound number 1 fighter in the world at the moment. What
Ahead of Islam.
Performance. Yeah, I think so, because I think for me, when I look pound for pound, if all things are equal, I think Volkanovski is better. Like obviously, Volkanovski moved up to Islam's weight, and he lost a close decision. Like Islam couldn't come down to Volkanovski's weight. If he came down to Volkanovski's weight, obviously, I think Volkanovski would win. So like, there was no meeting in the middle. So for me, I have Volkanovski pound for pound number 1, because that's what you're looking at. Like you're looking at size for size. If Volkanovski was legitimately the same size as Islam Makhachev, I think Volkanovski would beat him. But obviously, part of Islam's, advantages over Volkanovski is that he's actually a physically larger athlete.
What about John Jones? No.
For me, I think what we've seen like about 90 seconds of John Jones in the last 3 years. Like obviously we'll get on to John Jones in a bit because his fight got announced, but we need to see more John Jones because his previous performances before the Cyril Gane fight were more lackluster than what we're used to with him.
This is the situation when you're arguing over the creme de la creme or debating over the creme de la creme. It's the couple of percentage difference. You know, like that's. Like,
tell me this: who would you like to see Volkanovski fight next? I know we put a poll out there during the week, but who would you actually like to see him fight next?
I think I'd like to see him fight Ilia Topuria next.
Yeah, I think I'd be for that. I think Topuria has definitely earned the right to call that shot. Obviously, decimated Josh Emmett. I think he's the top contender in that division. Maybe some people, you could argue, still Max Holloway's top contender, but like we've seen that fight multiple times. The Topuria fight's fresh. I like it. I think the only other option...
got the face off and all. Like it just... People want to see fresh matchups. That's why we have, like, obviously we'll talk about Drake is taking on Adesanya. It's like that's fresh. That's something like that's exciting now. Because the other way would have been Adesanya against Whitaker, and I think one of the big issues about Poatan Oliveira beating.
Who beating Oliver?
No, beating Adesanya.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, beating.
Who Jan beating Adesanya?
No, Poatan.
Pereira.
Yeah, that's his
Oh,
nickname. No.
No, I'd never refer to him as that. I just
Yeah,
call Alex
okay.
Pereira.
Jesus, man. Do an MMA show. Yeah, but him defeating Adesanya, that like changed everything up. It's like, right, now there's fresh matchups again. I think like keeping the freshness is what keeps you intrigued. Like if you've seen something before, you're sort of like, you sort of believe you're going to see the same thing again. But like, it doesn't always go the same way. But like seeing something fresh is just like, you're like, wow, that's something different, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, and I agree. The face-off with Topuria for Volkanovski was definitely something that makes that match more intriguing. I think the only other option is to do like an Islam rematch, but I think Volkanovski has a bit of an injury. Islam's going to fight on that Abu Dhabi show, so he needs an opponent by then. So I don't think Volkanovski will be ready for that. So and I also think he'll be ready for 293 either. So it looks like Volkanovski's going to be on the shelf for a few months. So at the end of the day, like that won't be next for both of them anyway. Like you're probably looking later on in the year. You're probably looking November or something for Volkanovski to return.
Maybe at the end of the year as well, yeah.
So like,
well,
yeah, but I'm fine with that.
Yeah, do you think he did that face-off with Topuria after the fight just because he saw him, like Adesanya do the face-off with Dricus? So he's like, here, I need to, like, because everyone wants to be the star of that card, you know, and especially if you're the main event headline winner, you want to be like getting all the headlines in, you know.
Potentially so, but I suppose like at the end of the day, he's a champion. He gets pay-per-view points, so like he can do a face-to-face with 2 or 3 different people, and then like obviously whichever one gets the most traction, he can be like, right, that's the fight that I have to do next. Because at the end of the day, sell the pay-per-views, get the pay-per-view points, get the $1 million in the back pocket, you know.
Yeah, do you think he won so decisively now that he is sort of in a situation where it's like he's gonna win no matter what?
I think that could
So,
have been
so maybe the Islam.
except,
Sorry. So maybe the Islam fight is the one people want to see because they think it's going to be harder.
I actually think Topuria actually won so well that people are intrigued, and because Topuria's never lost, can he actually go on and be Volkanovski? Like it's been proven Volkanovski can be beaten. It's not been proven yet that Topuria can be beaten. So like that makes me want to see that fight more.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Ross, the co-main event.
Yeah, Alexander Pantoja defeated Brandon Moreno via split decision. For me, like, first of all, unbelievable fight. Second of all, like, the post-fight speech when, like, he was, like, calling out his dad, you know, being like, are you proud of me now? And, like, his dad left him. Like, for me, I was like, first of all, extraordinarily emotional. Secondly, I was like, oh, I thought most people, like, their dad banned them. They'd be like, screw you, dad. But he was like, all I want is my dad to be proud of me. So, like, obviously he took a different route to it, but
Obviously drives him, man.
yeah, definitely, and
That's a strange. No, that's a very scary, like, thing to drive in. Like that's
it's
nightmare stuff. Almost.
It's an ultimate motivator, really. Obviously, look, Pantoja just seems to have Moreno's number. That's the third time they fought. That's the third time he's won. It leaves Moreno in a bad situation, but I wouldn't be shocked if that belt did a bit of a pass the parcel and Moreno became champion again at some stage in the future. It seems the top of that division seems to be very, very elite, and it seems to be anyone can beat anyone on any given night. And it's not like Pantoja
Including who?
Devison Figueiredo, you know, Mohamed Mukhayev's coming around the outside to get involved in that mix. Albazi, we saw him and Kai Kara France had a really close fight. I think Kai Kara France is probably in there as well. Like I wouldn't rule out Kai Kara France beating one of those guys on the day. And I don't know if I said Devison Figueiredo, but like obviously he's there as well. So like there's about 5 or 6 guys in there.
What about Brandon Royval?
Brandon Royval's always an exciting fight. I feel like he's never managed to win that big one, but like he's definitely in there. Like he's probably pound for pound one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. I'd definitely be a fan of his. And then Manel Cape as well. The Portuguese Ronaldo, or the MMA version of Ronaldo. He's definitely in there as well. Like he's got some electric knockouts on his record. So I wouldn't rule him out either. So I think flyweight for the first time in a while is super exciting. I think because we sort of got over the 4 fights between Figgy and Moreno, and there is a few contenders on the cusp of looking for the title shot. And I think it probably will be one of those two back in again. I think Figgy Pantoja for me, I think will be a great fight. And if UFC have any plans to go to Brazil, like it's a brilliant fight to bring there. Also, you'd be left with a Brazilian champion still, because after Amanda Nunes retired, there was no Brazilian champions, but it wasn't for long, because Alexander Pantoja
The next
changed
pay per view.
yeah, so there you have it. So
Yeah, the thing is,
go on.
Brandon Royval weighed in as a replacement for that main event.
Yeah,
I
he
can't
did.
remember.
Like that's always a strange one. Sometimes it means a lot, sometimes it doesn't. So it's strange. Like obviously when Colby Covington did it, they were like, right, you're next. I think Kelvin Gastelum or Vicente Luque did it before for one of the welterweight fights, and then it was like, nah, you're not next. So
What about Anthony Smith?
he got fully passed over, didn't he, for like 2 other people?
Man, he missed weight. Like,
Yeah, true. So like, there's no guarantees in this fight game. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But look, I'd love to see Pantoja fight Figgy next. Who would you like to see him fight next?
that'd obviously be very good, but like, isn't Figueiredo sort of saying he wants to move up to 135 pounds? But seeing now that Moreno lost, it's like, well, Jesus, give me back the celery sticks, bro.
Yeah, it's definitely a funny one. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't convinced about that Albazi win over Kai Car France. Like, that was a razor close decision in my opinion. For me, not really enough to get a title shot, so I'd rather see him fight Figgy, and I'd rather see Albazi fight Moreno, I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I like it. Pantoja was calling for the fighters below him to fight each other. So like Figueiredo against Brandon Royval, Albazi against Moreno. I mean, and then
Yeah, put them on the same card and then have the most impressive winner get the title shot.
and see where Mohamed Makayev like comes through after UFC London, Ross.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dricus Du Plessis defeated Robert Whittaker, right? As I said, myself and Ross picked the winners of each main event, and like I thought that Brandon Moreno would win, and Ross thought that Volkanovski would win, and then I was like, right, I'm picking Moreno, and I'm going Rob Whittaker as well, and then they both lose. Dricus Du Plessis take it like he beat him like unbelievably well. Like he put the whole middleweight division on blast. Before we go into that win, Ross, is there where does Robert Whittaker go from here?
I don't ever think he's too far away from a title shot. Like, put it this way, if he goes back and wins 2 more at middleweight, he's right there. He's never really gone away. Like, he doesn't really lose back-to-back fights. You know what I mean? Like,
You couldn't see him welterweight, no?
No, I know he's fought there before, but I think
Yeah.
that cut is too much at this stage of his career.
Yeah.
And I think he's undersized at light heavyweight. I think he can definitely make another run at the belt at middleweight. Like, look, obviously, Dricus Du Plessis has incredible power. He got caught, didn't get a chance to recover. Du Plessis was all over him. And that's just what happens sometimes. I think, if Whittaker fought Cannonier, who do I think win? Well, obviously Whittaker. If he fights Sean Strickland, I also think Whittaker would win. I mean, like, he fights any of these sort of other middleweights. Like, Pereira's gone, so that's a massive name out of the division. So, like, if Whittaker wins his next fight or the fight after, he's probably there, ready to rock. You know what I mean? And also, he'll say Whittaker doesn't weigh in as the replacement for UFC 293 for their next fight.
What you make
Because
of
it's gonna be down under, so like his name will carry weight there.
definitely, but like Dricus like just ran amok, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a very, very impressive performance. I don't think a lot of people were picking him going into it. I think people thought his skill set was limited. I think they thought Whittaker's skill set would blow him out of the water. And look, he held his own in there, and like those hands are very, very heavy. I think, he might be a problem for Adesanya. He's definitely got to be the stronger fighter going there. Like, very good possibility that he hits harder than Adesanya, but it's more, can he catch Adesanya? Obviously, that's where the issue comes in. And then, I don't know about you, but like, it's borderline uncomfortable, the battle of Africanness between the two of them when you're watching it. You know what I mean? Like, Izzy's dropping the M bomb on him. I almost feel like he's trying to like goad him into use it back, and like they're trying to say who's the real African. I just don't understand why they can't both be African. I don't understand why one of them has to be real and the other has to be fake. Like Izzy was born in Nigeria, Dricus du Plessis was born in South Africa. Like they're both born in Africa. I think maybe the battle is to actually drag the UFC back to Africa, and where it will be. But like, I don't know if there is many stadiums in Nigeria, but I know there's definitely a few stadiums in South Africa. So like, from my very, very limited knowledge, I'd say there's a higher chance of bringing the UFC to South Africa.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's definitely not this is only the start. Like, but look, it's going to be creating a lot of hype for this big fight, And then look, being a former rugby player for Volkanovski, he's worked. Let's see what happens with Dricus du Plessis as well, because he showed everyone up there, and now he's one step closer to the title shot. Well, he basically has in the bag, hasn't been announced yet. But Ross, overall, it was a great event.
Yeah.
Like there was just pure barn burners, like Bo Nickel won as well. Any honorable mentions, Ross?
I thought the Bo Nickel win was actually quite telling. I think there was 4 under 1 minute finishes on the card as well, which is insane to see. So like, yeah, it was a very interesting card. Like you say, it's one of those ones you watch from start to finish. And also, I suppose it being International Fight Week, we got given an announcement of a big fight, Basmo. We got given John Jones versus Stipe Miocic, man. What do you make of that? Yeah, what do you make of that?
I think that's a big fight that like everyone is going to look forward to. Like at the way they're going to sell it, obviously it's John Jones, like the potential GOAT.
Yeah,
pound number 1 against like the
heavyweight GOAT.
Heavyweight champion who with the most title defenses, so arguably the greatest heavyweight UFC champion ever as well. Like in Madison Square Garden, like we've been there. That's where those type of fights should be held.
Yeah, for me, it's an absolutely barn burner of fight. Probably the last of Stipe's career. His opportunity to go back out on top. John Jones' opportunity to cement himself further as the greatest of all time. I think 2 unbelievable athletes, and they're going to do it in the Mecca. John Jones versus Stipe Miocic, UFC 295. I'm all in on it. I'm like, give it to me. I want to see it. Let's see who is the best heavyweight of all time. I know John Jones only had 1 fight there, but if he gets the job done over Stipe, like he enters that conversation. He's definitely in the conversation for greatest fighter of all time. And like, what a fight! Like 2 highly skilled athletes, 2 guys who people are going to pay big money to go see. And I think UFC announced that at the perfect time.
Yeah. Oh no, it did, like that's. I just like when big fights get announced, man. Like, cause then you're just like it makes doing the shows more exciting, and like more people like interacting with the show when big fights are announced. Like even the way Tyson Fury is going to be fighting Francis Ngannou now. Like unfortunately, he's not going to be for the title, which is going to a slight shame. But I suppose they are going to throw down and try and knock each other out, Ross.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's going on in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Look, for me, I think this is an easy win for Fury. I'm happy Francis Ngannou is getting that bag, as the kids say these days. But to me, like, I'll watch it as a spectacle or whatever, but I don't expect to be competitive.
Yeah. Also, over the weekend, it was fantastic results for Irish MMA as Franz Malambo, John Mitchell, and Dylan Tuke all won in PFL on Saturday, and Andreas Binder won on Sunday at Levels Fight League as well. Supposedly the world champion now, Ross. I didn't know if they did world champions.
Yeah, they do. Well, I suppose they're fighting from all over the world. So, like, he was from.
They didn't promote it as world champion. Like, but afterwards, like, there's the world champion. I was like, all right, well, I didn't know that was going in. Also, this weekend, Irish MMA is competing in the MMA 4 Nations: Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales. In Wales on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the Kingpin Boxing is this weekend as well in Dublin's Tree Arena. And Jer Harris returns onto APFC, that's Anti-Showtime Pettis' promotion, on Sunday the 16th. And there is obviously UFC fight night. Holly Holm is taking on Bueno Silva. Ross, that's basically nearly everything, bro. Another exciting week ahead in MMA.
You know what? We do it all here. Guys, thanks a million for watching this show. If you like the show, make sure to like, share, subscribe. And as always, Stay energized.
Energized show, up the Irish. Been sussing you guys a couple of times. I've seen a couple of clips. I think you've done some interviews with Dylan Moran and that I saw. So keep going, keep up the good work, guys.